What will you do if you are publicly humiliated at a wedding ceremony because of your status? When a rich Nigerian bride saw a poor woman crash her luxurious wedding, she ordered security to throw her out. But just as the woman turned to leave, the bride took one look at her face and collapsed. What happened next will leave you in shock. The Royal Emerald Hotel's Lagos Grand Hall sparkled like a diamond under crystal chandeliers. 500 elite sipped Dom Perignon from Baccarat wine glasses, their designer outfits costing more than the average Nigerian's yearly wage. At the center of this ocean of wealth stood Amanda Williams, her 5 million naira lace gown hugging her curves perfectly. The 15-carat diamond tiara on her head catching every light in the room. "Smile wider, darling," the photographer called as Amanda posed by the 5-tier wedding cake adorned with edible gold leaf. She flashed her perfect veneers, but her smile froze when movement near the service entrance caught her eye. There, half hidden behind a potted palm, stood a woman so out of place she might as well have been from another world. Her faded blue dress had clearly been washed too many times, the fabric thinning at the elbows. Her scuffed sandals peeked out from beneath the edge, the left strap held together with safety pins. "Rebecca," Amanda hissed, grabbing her maid of honor's arm so tightly her manicured nails left marks. "Who let that creature into my wedding?" Rebecca followed Amanda's gaze and wrinkled her nose like she'd smelled something unpleasant. "God knows, probably slipped in for free food." Amanda's perfectly contoured face twisted in disgust. "This isn't some street market. Security," she called, snapping her fingers at the nearest guard. "Remove that beggar immediately, and make sure she doesn't steal anything on her way out." As the guard moved toward the woman, Amanda turned back to her champagne, already dismissing the incident from her mind. She didn't see the woman pull a yellowed envelope from her bag, an invitation in Amanda's handwriting from 3 months ago, when she'd still remembered where she came from. The security guard's muscular hand closed around the woman's bony shoulder with a firm grip. "Madam, you need to leave," he said loudly, his voice cutting through the noise of laughter and clinking glasses, drawing curious gazes from nearby guests. The woman flinched under his touch but held her ground, her heart racing. "Please, I have an invitation," she implored softly, her voice trembling like a fragile leaf in the wind as she offered the crushed card, its edges frayed from wear. The guard barely glanced at it, a frown on his face. "The bride says you don't belong here," he declared, dismissing her with a wave of his hand. As he began to pull her toward the exit, the woman turned for one last longing look at the lavish wedding she had saved for months to attend. The shimmering lights, the elegant floral arrangements, and the joyful faces of family and friends celebrating love. That's when Amanda happened to glance up from her champagne wine glass, feeling the weight of an unexplainable connection stir within her. Their eyes met across the crowded room, and in that fleeting moment, time seemed to freeze, the laughter fading into a hushed silence. Amanda's glass slipped from her fingers, shattering against the polished marble floor, the sound echoing in the stillness around them. Those eyes, warm brown with gleaming flecks of gold, and the left one slightly fatigued, a testament to weariness from years of hardship, were imprinted in her memory, flooding her heart with both recognition and panic. Suddenly, she was 7 years old again, waking from a nightmare to find those same loving eyes watching over her. A familiar, rough-skinned hand gently stroked her hair, soothing away her fears. "Shh, Amanda, my love, Mama Grace is here," the voice whispered, rich and melodic. "Mama? Grace?" Amanda gasped, the name tumbling from her lips, breaking the silence and shattering a decade of unspoken pain. The room erupted in murmurs and gasps as guests turned to witness the unfolding drama, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and concern. Mama Grace smiled through her tears, joy and sorrow colliding in her gaze. the expression so achingly familiar it punched the breath from Amanda's lungs. Without thinking, her legs gave out, and the weight of her expensive gown pulled around her as she collapsed to her knees, overwhelmed by a wave of realization and regret. Oh God, what have I done?" she whispered, the words barely escaping her lips as the moment transformed into a whirlwind of emotions. A mix of love, loss, and the haunting echoes of a neglected past. The string quartet's music died mid-note as all eyes turned to the scene. Amanda crawled toward Mama Grace like a remorseful sinner, her designer gown tearing on the marble floor, her 5 million naira veil trailing behind her. I'm so sorry," she wailed, her voice raw with shame. When she reached Mama Grace, she pressed her forehead to the older woman's worn sandals, a perfect updo coming undone. Mama Grace immediately knelt, gathering Amanda into her arms just like she had when Amanda skinned her knees as a child. "My Amanda," she murmured, her voice thick with emotion. "Look how beautiful you've become." Her work-roughened fingers gently wiped Amanda's tears, smearing her 100,000 naira waterproof mascara. David, Amanda's new husband, pushed through the crowd looking confused. "Baby, what's going on? Who is this?" Amanda could barely speak through her sobs. This is Mama Grace. She raised me at Blessed Hope Orphanage after my parents abandoned me. She's the only mother I've ever known." A shocked murmur rippled through the crowd. David's face went pale. He immediately took Mama Grace's other arm, helping her stand. "Everyone," he announced, his voice carrying across the silent room. "This is Mama Grace. Without her kindness and sacrifice, my beautiful wife wouldn't be here today." The applause started slowly, then built to a thunderous roar. Amanda, still trembling, took the microphone from the DJ. I was ashamed of my past," she admitted, her voice breaking. "But today, Mama Grace has reminded me that where you come from isn't nearly as important as who helped you get where you're going." At the elegant VIP table, illuminated by soft golden lights, Amanda clung to Mama Grace's hand, her grip firm as if she feared that one wrong move might cause her beloved guardian to vanish. "Why didn't you tell me you were coming?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper, laden with surprise and concern. Mama Grace smoothed the fabric of her modest, brightly colored dress, its threads frayed in places, but cherished nonetheless. "I didn't want to embarrass you, my love. This dress, it's the nicest one I own. I saved for months to buy it specially for today," she replied, her cheeks tinged with a hint of embarrassment. Amanda's breath caught in her throat as a cascade of memories flooded her mind. Images of Mama Grace giving up her own warm blanket on chilly nights, of the sacrifices made as she sold her late husband's cherished watch just to afford Amanda's school uniform, and the countless times she went without food to ensure the children had enough to eat. You sold your wedding ring to pay for my high school entrance exam," Amanda whispered with a voice quivering from the weight of emotion, fresh tears brimming in her eyes as she recalled the depth of her mother figure's love and sacrifice. Without a word, Mama Grace gently patted Amanda's hand, her touch offering warmth and reassurance. "You are always worth it, my child," she responded softly, her eyes glistening with pride and affection. Nearby, David, Amanda's husband, discreetly wiped away a few tears that had escaped his enduring face. "Amanda, we should do something special for Mama Grace," he suggested, his tone sincere and full of admiration. But Amanda was already shaking her head, her eyes lighting up with a newfound determination. "Not just for her, David. It's for all of them," she declared passionately. Suddenly rising to her feet, Amanda tapped a crystal champagne glass with a spoon, the delicate sound cutting through the murmurs around the room, demanding attention. "Everyone, my husband and I, have an announcement," she called out, her voice ringing with conviction. "In honor of Mama Grace and the unwavering love she has shown me throughout my life, we're donating half of our wedding budget to rebuild Blessed Hope Orphanage." The room erupted in enthusiastic cheers and applause, but Amanda held up her hand, signaling for quiet once more. And starting tomorrow, I'll be visiting every week to see to the needs of the children there. Because no child should ever feel forgotten, she proclaimed, her heart swelling with purpose as she looked at the faces around her, faces that echoed the gratitude she felt and the hope she now wished to share. From her seat near the back, Vanessa and Yemzo watched the scene with narrowed eyes. Disgusting, she muttered to her circle of wealthy friends. That old woman is obviously a gold digger, and Amanda's playing the perfect saint for the cameras. She pulled out her iPhone, zooming in on Amanda's tear-streaked face. Watch this, Vanessa smirked as she began recording. By tomorrow morning, all of Lagos will see through this pathetic act. Her fingers flew across the screen as she uploaded the video to Instagram with the caption, "Rich bride fakes emotional orphanage story for influence. That mama is a paid actress. Hashtag fake philanthropy. Hashtag wedding of shame." Within minutes, the post went viral. Vanessa's phone buzzed constantly with notifications as likes and comments poured in. "I always knew Amanda was fake," one comment read. "That poor old woman probably got paid 5,000 naira to play along," added another. Meanwhile, Amanda remained blissfully unaware as she introduced Mama Grace to important guests. "This is Mrs. Adesina, my former English teacher," she said proudly. "She helped me get into the university." The older woman beamed. "Amanda was always the brightest child at Blessed Hope. Even when we had no lights, she'd study by candlelight." Vanessa's lip curled as she filmed this exchange too. "Just wait," she whispered to her friends. "By tomorrow, Amanda's little fairy tale will be in ruins." Amanda awoke the next morning to an unbearable silence, her heart racing as she glanced at her phone to discover a staggering 127 missed calls. Still disoriented from the whirlwind of the past few days, she barely registered the gravity of the situation until David barged into their honeymoon suite, his usual warmth replaced by an alarming pallor. "Baby, you need to see this," he said breathlessly, his hands trembling as he turned his laptop toward her. On the screen was a viral Twitter thread inscribed with the hashtag #FakeBride. Amanda's heart sank as she absorbed the outbreak of heated comments beneath a video of Vanessa, her childhood friend, exposing what was supposed to be a cherished memory. The clip had gathered over 500,000 retweets, slicing through the fabric of Amanda's carefully crafted reputation. Comments ranged from disbelief to brutal accusations. "No way that rich bitch came from an orphanage," and "that mama looks like a professional beggar." The maliciousness didn't stop there. Mainstream news outlets had jumped at the opportunity to question Amanda's motives, framing her as a fraud in a twisted narrative that chilled her to the bone. Just then, her phone rang, shattering the tense atmosphere. It was Lux Cosmetics, her premier sponsor. The CEO's voice crackled across the line, each word laced with disappointment. "Amanda, we're suspending our contract pending an investigation," he said coldly before hanging up, leaving her feeling as hollow as the space that once held the excitement of her new life. Barely a second passed before another call flashed on her screen, this time from David's father, his voice booming with authority and concern. "Son, is it true that your wife staged this whole orphanage story? Think about the family name." David's response was a sharp exhale of frustration as he slammed the laptop shut. "This is insane. How can people believe this nonsense?" His eyes were wide with disbelief and anger, mirroring the turmoil blazing within Amanda's chest. Desperately, she scrolled through her Instagram, her hands shaking violently. The screen displayed her last post, a joyful photo with Mama Grace, the woman who had taken her in as a child, and beneath it lay a torrent of hateful comments. The words stung like poison. "Gold digger. Shame on you for exploiting the poor. How could strangers be so cruel?" Meanwhile, across town, Mama Grace sat in her small apartment, her expression a mix of anger and disbelief as she fielded relentless calls from reporters. Yes, Amanda lived with us from age 4 to 18, she insisted fiercely, gripping a faded photo of Amanda as a child. I have records, photos. But before she could share her evidence, a reporter interrupted dismissively. Sure you do, Grandma. How much did she pay you? The tone dripped with mockery, making it clear that the truth didn't matter in this sensationalized story. Back in the suite, Amanda felt the weight of the world crushing down on her as she curled into a ball on their plush mattress, the luxury now feeling like a suffocating blanket. Sobs racked her body, each cry filled with despair. I just wanted to do something good, David. Why is the world so cruel? The question hung in the air, heavy and unanswered, as the fallout of her intentions continued to spiral out of control. David paced their penthouse like a caged lion, anxiety rippling through him as he searched for a solution. There has to be a way to prove. He halted abruptly, a spark igniting in his mind. Vanessa? She ignited this whole scandal, and I suspect her family's hiding some serious secrets. Without hesitation, he dialed his private investigator, a sharp-witted former journalist specializing in uncovering the dirty truths of the powerful. I need a deep dive into Vanessa Onyema's family history. Focus on her father's so-called charity work. He leaned back, rubbing his temples, frustration bubbling beneath the surface. Hours later, the investigator delivered the shocking news. Documents revealing that Mr. Onyema had embezzled a staggering 250 million naira from the very orphanage his family claimed to support. Armed with this explosive information, David confronted Vanessa at her favorite cafe, a trendy spot known for its artisanal brews and lush outdoor seating. Her usual air of confidence shattered as he leaned in close, his voice low and steady. Take down your posts and issue a public apology, or tomorrow's headlines will expose your father's theft for the world to see. The color drained from Vanessa's face, her once indomitable smirk replaced by a look of pure disbelief. You wouldn't dare, she challenged, though her voice trembled slightly. Watch me, David replied, a cold resolve flooding his veins. The following morning, Vanessa reluctantly posted a tearful apology video. Her mascara streaked down her cheeks, but the damage had already been done. The internet had rallied around Amanda, transforming her narrative into one of resilience and triumph. As if on a hint, a determined journalist uncovered Amanda's old school records, revealing the Blessed Hope Orphanage as her childhood address. Former classmates began to share heartwarming stories of Amanda's humble beginnings, depicting her as a beacon of light in their lives. But the most damning evidence came when Vanessa's private messages were leaked, showcasing her arrogant admissions of framing Amanda for personal gain. The public outcry intensified, with social media ablaze with hashtags supporting Amanda's honor. Lux Cosmetics, which had previously severed ties with Amanda, quickly reached out, desperate to reinstate her contract. In a show of solidarity, David's father sent fragrant flowers accompanied by a heartfelt note. We never doubted you. A gesture that touched David deeply. Yet, the pinnacle of victory came when the president himself tweeted, Amanda Williams shows us the power of remembering our roots. True success is lifting others as you climb. Hashtag grace like Amanda. The world was finally starting to recognize Amanda not just as a woman wronged, but as an empowered force. As David watched the news unfold, he felt a sense of hope blossom, knowing that truth, like a phoenix, could rise from the ashes of deceit. The gates of Blessed Hope Orphanage creaked as Amanda pushed them open for the first time in 10 years. The compound was smaller than she remembered, the paint peeling and the playground equipment rusted. But the moment the children spotted Mama Grace, they came running. Mama's back, they chorused, swarming her with hugs. Then they noticed Amanda. A little girl gasped. You're the princess from TV. Amanda knelt, eye level with the child. Once, I slept in that very bed by the window, she said softly, pointing to the dormitory. Mama Grace smiled. Amanda was just your age when she came to us. So skinny, but such a fighter." The children's eyes widened as they made the connection. This glamorous woman was one of them. Amanda pulled out an oversized check. "This is for a new dormitory, a proper school, and 3 hot meals every day." Mama Grace's hands shook as she took it. This is too much, Amanda." "It's not enough," Amanda declared, her voice steady and resolute, as she glanced around the room filled with hopeful eyes. The air was thick with anticipation, and just as the tension began to settle, David stepped forward, his demeanor shifting from apprehension to determination. With a warm smile, he gestured toward the back of the room where 2 children stood. Siblings who had spent the last 5 years at Blessed Hope, their expressions a mix of uncertainty and longing. "And we would like to adopt," David stated, his eyes shining with sincerity. He pointed to the boy and girl, a spirited brother and his shy sister, who had faced more than their fair share of challenges. "If they'll have us," he added, a note of vulnerability creeping into his voice. The weight of the moment hung in the air as everyone absorbed the significance of his words, hopeful that this could be the beginning of a new chapter for the children. The children burst into tears as the entire orphanage erupted in celebration. That night, for the first time in years, Amanda slept at Blessed Hope. This time by choice, curled up with her soon-to-be children in the very room where she'd once felt so alone. During the orphanage's groundbreaking ceremony, a sleek black Mercedes pulled up. Reporters turned their cameras as a well-dressed woman stepped out, her designer sunglasses doing little to hide her nervousness. Amanda felt a chill run down her spine as she locked eyes with the woman standing before her. It had been 20 long years, but that icy gaze was etched in her memory, unmistakable and haunting. This was the woman who had left her, alone and scared, at a gas station when she was just 4 years old. Memories of the dimly lit convenience store and her tiny hands clutching a stuffed animal flooded back, sending a jolt of anguish through her. "Amanda?" The woman's voice trembled, a mix of surprise and uncertainty. She seemed smaller than Amanda remembered, her once confident demeanor replaced by an air of fragility. I saw you on television. I had to come." The weight of those words hung in the air, thick with unspoken emotions. Amanda stood frozen, torn between the desire to confront her mother and the instinct to retreat from the past that had shaped her. The crowd held its breath as Amanda stared at her biological mother. "You left me in a trash bin behind a petrol station," Amanda said flatly. The woman flinched. "I was young, scared, but I've changed. I'm married to a senator now. We could be a family." Mama Grace moved to Amanda's side, her presence steadying. The senator's wife eyed her disdainfully. "Is this the woman who's been poisoning you against me?" she sneered. Something in Amanda snapped. She took Mama Grace's rough-skinned hand in hers. "This is my mother, the woman who stayed up with me through fevers, who sold her jewelry to buy me books, who loved me when no one else would." She turned back to her birth mother. "You can visit, but Mama Grace is my family." As the woman drove off in disgrace, reporters were already tweeting the shocking development. Amanda realized she'd finally found the closure she never knew she needed. 1 year later, the new Blessed Hope Children's Village opened its doors, an expansive complex with dormitories, a school, and even a medical clinic. The viral video of Amanda's wedding had raised over $3 million worldwide, with celebrities matching donations. Amanda and David's adopted children, now named Grace and David Jr., helped cut the ribbon. Mama Grace, now director of the foundation bearing her name, gave a speech that left few dry eyes. "Love isn't about blood," she said, holding Amanda close. "It's about showing up, every day no matter what." That night, as Amanda tucked Grace into bed in their Lagos mansion, the little girl asked, "Mummy, will you ever leave me like your first mummy left you?" Amanda kissed her forehead. "Never, my love, because I had the best teacher in how to love. Your Grandma Grace." As the fallout from the scandal continued to unfold, Vanessa's family found themselves in a desperate situation. Compelled to repay the millions in stolen charity funds that had once sustained their philanthropic image. Their reputation, once synonymous with generosity and community support, lay in ruins, leaving them isolated and shunned by friends and colleagues who had once admired their contributions. Meanwhile, Amanda's birth mother sat alone in her extensive empty mansion, her heart heavy with regret and sorrow. From her grand living room, she watched the evening news coverage of the orphanage opening, an event meant to symbolize hope and renewal. It was a stark reminder of her own choices and the lost opportunities for her daughter. The last few months had been a whirlwind of turmoil for her. The senator had filed for divorce, unable or unwilling to withstand the pressures brought on by the scandal that had rocked their family. As she sipped her wine, she couldn't shake the feeling of emptiness that clung to her, knowing that her once promising life had unraveled in ways she never imagined. The final shot of the viral documentary about Amanda's journey showed her dancing with Mama Grace at the orphanage's first Christmas party, surrounded by laughing children. The caption read, "Family isn't who you're born to, it's who holds you when you break, and helps you rebuild stronger than before." I'm excited to hear what you think about this story. Please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe, and share it with your friends. We appreciate all your support, and I can't wait to read your comments. Thank you for watching.